So this whole thing started about 30 years ago, right? Helen Doron changed.
Helen Doron started in 1985. Yes.
She changed the whole understanding of teaching English as a foreign language,
yes.
As far as I know.
English is actually not taught well, and not only in Turkey, but in most countries. What happens is that, in order to learn English from an early age, what you have to do is first listen to the sound. Listen to the rhythm, the intonations, the pronunciation, and only then are you able to learn to speak.
Just like babies, right?
Well, exactly. I'll come back to this. But effectively what is happening is that in most countries, English is only taught from the age of 8, and at this stage what is happening is that kids are expected to learn to understand, to speak, to read, to write, to learn the grammar, to learn the pronunciation, all at the same time.
Which doesn't usually work.
And of course it confuses them. So what you find is that despite, in most countries, children are really struggling to speak. They may understand, but they can't actually make a proper sentence. So, and what happens then is also, very often they don't get any time or speaking time. They also don't get any feedback. And so they start to develop this fear of speaking in the classes, which of course leads to failure.
What I call this is real life English. The problem usually in Turkey is most of the people say they know English, but they cannot really speak. They don't know real life English, like going to a restaurant, ordering, shopping, or talking about just everyday activities or usual
the
things.
statistics that I'm aware of it, I don't know if it's true, but it's about 2% of the Turkish population actually is capable.
2%?
Yeah, 2% of the Turkish population is actually capable of having conversational English. So they may speak English, well, they may understand English, but they can't have a proper conversation. So obviously it's a very low statistic. And the other thing is that the teachers tend to correct children as opposed to encourage them. And this is very much, it's the same in France, where the teacher will tend to give a lesson. The children will learn by heart. There will not be any interaction between the teacher and so obviously this for us is very wrong. And the Helen Doron methodology that Helen developed are really based on 4 core principles. The first one is repetitive hearing. And so what we do is in our schools, there's the kind of we use this immersion system where audio materials are being used in the background, and the children are constantly being exposed to sounds. As I said, you first
same
need
sounds, right?
Yeah,
when
the
you
same
say
sounds.
Yeah.
And importantly, and this is being played throughout the day. Importantly, they're not being asked to understand. They're not also being asked to speak. It's basically, it goes into their, subconsciously, they absorb this. This goes into their long-term memories. And then what happens is that the lessons, the props, the activities, the songs, the games, everything is done to create connections with what they're hearing in their background. So the meaning comes automatically, if you want, and gradually. And this is exactly how a baby learns to speak.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He's basically absorbing the sounds from his parents, from other people, and little by little he will make a connection with the word. Then he'll repeat this word. The parents will be delighted. They encourage him to repeat. And this is basically how he can acquire knowledge. This is why we think that it's very important to start from an early age, because at this age, of course, children are like sponges. But the fact is, where really the Helen Doron methodology is so special is that she started a linguist and she really understood how people actually learn. And it's amazing to see that in many countries, despite the phenomenal amounts of money that are being poured into education, the standards when it comes to languages tend to be very poor. because, as I said, they don't acquire knowledge the right way. Now, the other thing is also, so this is repetitive hearing. The other thing that is very core to the Helen Doron methodologies, the second principle is positive reinforcement. This is very important. A child needs to be encouraged. He needs to receive feedback as how well he's doing. So our teachers,
positively, right?
Exactly. So our teachers are being trained to be able to provide the right feedback, the right encouragement. We take great care not to embarrass kids. In many schools, what happens is that kids are being targeted directly by the teacher. You know, if you don't know the answer, they will tend to zoom on you. And of course, what we'll do...
It's very embarrassing.
Well, it will embarrass you. The other kids that tend to be quite cruel will actually, make fun of you. And all you're doing, you are destroying their self-confidence. So what we find is that if you are able to boost their self-confidence, they will be more eager to learn. The third principle is make learning fun. This is very, very special for Helen. All the songs, everything, the materials, the props, everything is cheerful, the colors are bright. The kids are having fun, and this is what allows them to engage their attention. This is very critical.
It says fun, fast, and musical.
Yes,
right? That's exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but in reality, there's a lot of science behind it. It's like the lessons are very carefully thought out. And whilst it looks fun to the parents and to the child, in reality there's a very strict methodology behind it, and it allows the kid to develop in a nice, smooth way.
Can we, when you're talking about all those aspects, it makes me think about the teachers, because a regular teacher, I think, would have difficulty to cope with this methodology. So there has to be a long training, or a serious training.
Yeah, there's a phenomenal amount of training that goes into the Helen Doron system. Just for the English teachers this year, they had to go through 25 days of training.
Wow.
Which is obviously very intensive. And for our kindergarten teachers, we also had a 2-day training, and we're going to have regular training throughout the year.
Yeah, it says ongoing training,
exactly.
right? So teachers,
Absolutely.
not only students here, but teachers keep learning.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Throughout the whole year.
Because the courses are designed so that the kids can move from one level to another one without being overwhelmed. And obviously, the teachers need to be aware of this path. There's some there's a lot of preparation goes also into these activities.
Are the trainings in English?
Well, some of the trainings, a lot of the training is in English. Some of the training is also provided in Turkish.
So I understand that each and every teacher has to speak some.
No, the kindergarten teachers, some of the kindergarten teachers don't speak English, but then we have people that we're providing translations, and we also do some of our own training.
I was one of the translators in one of your trainings, and I was really amazed. I like the fact that you give importance to the training of the teachers.
Yes.
And there's another thing that I'm really interested in, and every school that I visit, I will be asking the same question. I've already asked you about the teachers, but the second one is about nutrition. I think Helen Doron is also different about that, right?
Well,
you have a different point of view.
Yeah, Helen is very adamant that she wants to, change the way. She wants to change the world, and for the better. So she wants to change, obviously, the way people learn, but she also wants to learn about making sure that the kids acquire the right eating habits.
Healthy. She wants
exactly.
Healthy kids,
so
right?
as part of the training, all our teachers actually are going through a seminar on nutrition also.
That's great.
And we're doing the same
That's great. That's like my dream for each and every school, because I've really seen very bad eating habits in students?
Well, as you said, obesity is a big problem throughout the world because of the processed food that we're eating. So you know, you see a lot of kids who, you know, don't eat well at home, and so she believes and we believe that this is very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
The other element also, which is I was telling you before that in the traditional system, kids don't have a lot of time for speaking, or they don't have a lot of time also for feedback. So therefore,
it's only reading and writing, right? The old are you talking about the
no,
old fashioned?
No, I'm talking about general in the school.
Okay.
So what we're doing also, and this is the fourth principle, is that we are working in very small groups. So if we have a class, it will typically be subdivided in two, so that the teachers are able to spend quality time with maximum 8 kids. And this for us is also very important. What I see is, and this really gives me great courage, is that our kids, you know, there's a lot of studies that have been done on bilingual kids. And the fact is, when kids are able to acquire English as a second language and the way it's being taught, it somehow does something to them. They are very self-confident, they are more eager to learn, they tend to be better than other kids. And so it's part of this reason that we decided to also then, as you were saying before, a lot of our parents were very happy with the progress of their children, and they wanted to have this continuation, which is why we're now opening some primary school. And again, when you see that in Turkey you have only 2% of the populations that speaks conversational English, and parents feel bad about it, of course. What we also see is that the private sector at the moment only represents about 4% of the private sector, when the government has announced in the 2023 plan that they want to take this number to 25%. It
From
means
4% to 25%.
Exactly. It means, well, simply because in most countries the government is not capable of financing you know, education and healthcare, and they tend to need the private sector also. So we think that there's a very nice opportunity in terms of development. We feel that we can make a nice difference. Right now we will have about 30 kindergartens in September.
30.
Yeah, 30. We also have 6 learning centers, and the idea is to take this number to about 120 within the next 5 years, and to also open 3 or 4 primary schools. The primary school is very important because the last year, you know, the last year of the kindergarten, when the kids are 5 and 6, is regarded like a prep school, a prep year for the primary. And if you don't have the primary,
they're getting ready for Hayata Doğru, right? So
yes, I mean, we really feel that it's, as I said, we're very delighted to see that we are making a difference, and we want to be able to continue this so that we can, you know, create some happy kids, very self-confident, and with a bright future. And of course, we're trying to prepare them also for the 21st century, where, you know, these social skills, this ability to relate to others, and good manners, all these things will be very important.
So the number is 36 right now, right? You told me, in total, 30 kindergartens, 6 learning centers.
Learning centers, yes.
Correct. In what period of time, in how long did you reach up that number?
The business was started in 2013.
In Turkey, 2013.
Exactly, in September 2013.
So in 2 years, 36.
Yes.
That's good. It's a good number.
I feel that given the value that we're creating, we first want to be able to open probably another 70 kindergartens, but we also think that we will be able to convert some existing kindergartens into Helen Doron. There's a lot of private kindergartens that are doing okay, but because they don't have a strong methodology behind, they're not able to charge you know, the right prices, and they're somehow struggling financially. So we think that we can create something, and you know, it's very important to create this this footprint, because of course, if you're able to create this this notion of group, you know, it helps absolutely every school, because the brand awareness will be stronger. We also very strongly believe in the synergies between the kindergartens and the primary schools, so they become feeder centers for each other.
And you also have these activities with the franchisees, right? Like you guys all get together.
Yes, we're trying to create various events to obviously raise the brand. I think it's very critical that parents become aware of the added value that we're providing. We're very, very adamant that it's very nice for the children. Sometimes the parents are not aware of it, so it's our job to make sure that they become aware of it. I also wanted to expand on the difference between a learning center and kindergarten. Now, the kindergarten, obviously, this is the parents give the child the most trusted being to the care of the kindergarten. The learning center is different. The learning center is a very nice concept. It's like an activity. Very much like, you can have music lessons, sport lessons, you can have English lessons. And where Helen Doron is very special is we can start to work with children as young as 3 months old together with their mother. And so,
3 months.
Yes.
That's very early. And
well, exactly.
But the timing is perfect because, like we said before, the earlier you start, the better it is.
The more long-term, the stronger the imprint will be. And the thing is also is that there are obviously a lot of parents who can't afford in Turkey to send their children to to a private school. But if they're interested by the English, we are able to help them, and obviously the budget is significantly less than actually having to go to a private school.
So I understand that if the parents can afford, they give their children to the kindergarten. But if they say they have a lower budget, they can just be here for a couple of hours, the baby and the mother, or the
and
kid.
When they're a bit older, we can accommodate in the learning center kids up to the age of 12. So
1 or 2 hours every day.
You have about 2 hours per week, or 2 sessions per week. And then what we find is that the children are able to learn English, and this is obviously very wonderful also.
Okay. Thank you for all the information you're giving us, and I hope that you will reach up that number as soon as possible, because I myself believe in the methodology, and I thank you for everything that you've done so far.
Great. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sevgili Billur TV izleyicileri, Helen Doron'la ilgili sanırım çoğu bilgiyi aldınız ama eğer ziyaret etmek isterseniz de dediğim gibi Etiler Helen Doron'a gelebilirsiniz ve 30 tane varmış. Bunların 30'unu da ziyaret edebilirsiniz ya da okul yolu içeriğinde bizim ziyaret ettiklerimizi izleyebilirsiniz. Bizden ayrılmayın. Teşekkürler.